my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. Today we are reacting to episode 5 of Apothecary Diaries, and we got to see Li Hao make a recovery, and potentially it was strongly hinted at that she got the Emperor's affections once more because Gyokyu talked about no longer having sleep deprivation, and Mao Mao had a little smirk on her face because she taught Li Hao the secret with her assets. At first I thought she was asking to see them because of how her hand like trailed down, but no, she's giving her tips and tricks from the brothel. Who knew that Mao Mao would be so cheeky and bring this knowledge into the palace? But hey, it's serving her well. She's gaining attention from the emperor. She's being given gifts by Jinshi. My girl is gaining status and renown more so than she ever intended. She just wants to leave and go home to her dad, but hey, she might not ever get to leave at this point. She's becoming too valuable to the royal family, I think, for them to let her go. I think maybe she'll be allowed to like go and visit her dad, but I think they'll want to keep her on and employ her full time. But I don't think they'll trap her. I mean, she was trafficked here to begin with. I think they'll allow her to work here of her own volition, and I think maybe she will because she's doing good. She's, you know, contributing quite significantly to the royal family, and she's making friends and she's being treated like one of them, and they all seem to care a great deal for Mao Mao. So I think she may then just end up visiting her dad, but they'll allow her to do so. Then just keep her on as an apothecary, but it'll be of her own choice to stay, which I think Jinshi will love. But without further ado, we will get into episode 5. Oh, Jinshi. Oh, damn. Getting a bit hot in here. Oh my. I yield to Jinshi.
いえ、私の力任せの剣術では、人士様にはまだまだ叶いません。その力がすごいんだ。さすがはマーの一族。
Jinshi is so gracious in victory.
なんでこれが禁止されたか分かってんのか。毒だっつってんだろ。
まさかあんな一面があるとは。
I think he likes that side of her though. He's like, will she speak to me that way? Likes being berated by her.
やっぱりあった。やった。おお、こっちにも。
I love her. She's just so quirky.
わあ、美味しそう。いつもありがとう、マオマオ。ちゃんと食べなさい。もっと太らないと。遠慮しないで。
Oh, she has too much food.
宮中の女官が女嫌いで有名な堅物部下を落としたらしいよ。
Oh, lavender marriage.
こう使ったんだって。利益。
Wait, did Jinshi give it to someone to seduce a military officer?
ちょいと内密の相談がありまして。
なんだい？
Mushrooms.
これです。
おお、初物の松茸じゃないか。
お好きなようでよかっ
I
た
think
です。
he's grown to really like Mao Mao.
あと、
He has.
なんだ。
They've bonded. He gives her tea and snacks.
そろそろ良さそうです。
おいしい。
Their little friendship.
おいしい。
He has to keep my secrets.
先生、呪いを解く薬を作ってくれませんか？
呪い？
どういうことだい？これです。
ひどくかぶれていますね。とりあえず難航でしょうか。
It does look like an allergic reaction to something. Like an irritation maybe from the wood that he was handling.
女物の衣？袖口が焦げてる。それに木管？何かと気になりましたが、そのまま火の中に投げ入れたんです。すると。
Oh, and then the fire did the...
呪いですよ。それでこんな手に。
Or it's like an
そ
irritation
の炎っ
because
てこんな色でしたか？
of the material that you handled when you threw it.
でなければこちら。花火の仕組みと同じです。火にかけると色が変わるものがあるんです。
いや、じゃあこの手は。
おそらく木管に何か付着していたんでしょう。それに触れてかぶれただけだと
Yeah,
思いま
it's
す。
just irritated
こ
his
の薬を
skin.
塗って様子を見てください。ごきげんよう、人士様。何かご用でしょうか？
まるで用がなければ話しかけるなと言いたげだな。
いえ、滅相もありません。
ちょっとばかり付き合え。
He's such a lover boy.
人士さん。シュン。
You just wanted to give him tea.
何色くらいあるんだ？
具体的な数はわかりません。
では、色をつけるにはどうすればいい？
塩なら水に溶かしてつけます。水以外の油などで溶けるものもあるようですが、何でしょうか？
土瓶蒸しが好きだ。頼んだぞ、薬や。
バレてたか。
He's like, I want my mushrooms. Where were they? You didn't share them with me.
ここ最近、腕に火傷を負ったものを探せ。
御意。
Oh, so they suspect something's going on.
多分暗号。
Like a
わざわ
plot
ざ
or
そんなもの
something?
を使うのは公にできない内容だから。
Like an attempt to undermine the emperor? Yeah, the colors could like symbolize different things. Maybe like a rebellion.
これ着てみてくれる？嫌な予感。
Oh, she looks so
決まって
pretty.
るじゃない。園遊会の衣装よ。園遊会？年に2回、宮廷の庭園に帝とお偉い方が
Oh,
集
Mau
まって、食
Mau.
事が振る舞われるの。次期皇后の最有力
Oh, there's
候補。
4. Okay, we've only met 2.
小一本の妃。上級妃である四夫人。
God, she's so young.
剣妃、リファ妃。徳妃、リーシュ妃。祝妃、アードゥオ妃。
One of them is like a child.
私たちは招かれる立場だから、ただ皇
Oh,
帝に
little
付き従ってい
baby.
ればいいのよ。たまにカンが挨拶に来るから、笑顔を振りまくのを忘れずにね。
She's like, please no.
それ、全員参加ですか？今回はリンリー姫のお披露目に、上級妃の揃い踏みとイベント
Oh,
満載。
the baby's
これは戦い
going.
なの。心してかからないと。やるわよ。
Okay.
新人が辞するわけにはいかないか。
Alright, you gotta go.
食事があ
Also,
る以
you
上
look so
特に役は必
good.
要不可欠。お化粧も気合い入れるわよ。たまにはそばかすも隠さなきゃ。
No! Her freckles are so cute. I guess, like, in this society, you know, like, flawless complexion was the beauty standard because if you have freckles or tan skin, you were seen as being lower class because you worked in the fields, you were exposed to the sun. The paler you were and the less blemishes, the more regal and noble you appeared or seemed because you did not have to work for a living. You had everything handed to you. That was the beauty standards of the time.
飴？
Candy.
みかんの皮は血行を良くし、生姜は体を温
I
める
love
作用
that
があります。
she is such a foodie.
はい。肌着にポケットを縫い付けました。中にカイロを入れれば寒さを防げるかと。え？
Make me one. That's so smart. Keep everyone nice and toasty.
少しの工夫でいくらかマシになるもの。
They're going to be so happy
どうぞ。
with this.
私の分もお願いしよ
私にぜひ。
はい。作り方教えてください。
う。お願いします。
皇帝直属のおはりこと食事係まで。
Soon the emperor's gonna want one. Oh. She's gonna make one for the baby. Keep the baby nice and toasty warm. She's overworking herself. You won't be for much longer. Oh. Burns on the arms. What are you planning? What's going on? I feel like it may have to do with the party tomorrow.
腕に火傷を負ったものの捜索ですが、
まだ見つからないか。
申し訳ありません。
園遊会。何も起きなければいいが。
I don't think it is going to go smoothly. She's so pretty.
ありがとう。あなたたちにはこれを。変な虫がつかないように
Oh,
印をつけておかないとね。いいマオマオ。あなたは私の次女
she's so generous and kind.
なの。ありがとうございます。
It's also beautiful.
ちょっと。お化粧しましょう。とびっきり可愛くなっていらっしゃい。マオマオ？嘘。どうして？マオマオ、あなた。ああ、バレちゃったか。
She doesn't have freckles, does she? Does she draw them on? What do they mean they caught her? Oh, she looks beautiful too. She's so young.
最後は忌避。玉葉妃だな。
玉葉妃への肩入れが強いのは、やはりお気に入りのおもちゃができたからか。
ママ
困ったわ。
It's the only reason.
玉葉妃は本当に赤がお似合いになる。華やかでありながらどこか神秘的なのは、翡翠の瞳を持つ玉葉妃だからでしょうね。
Oh, you flatter her, Jinshi.
どうもありがとう。
さて、姫の様子は。
She looks so cute.
ごきげんよう、ジンシ様。
She's gorgeous. He's besotted.
ああ、薬屋か。化粧をしているのか。
I think he's gonna prefer her
Yes.
without makeup
そば
though.
かすが消えてるぞ。
はい、消しましたから。
She
化
draws
粧をして
them
消
on.
したんだろ。
化粧を落としたから消えたんです。
She draws them on because she wants to appear more common than she is because I think she's from a noble family.
乾いた粘土でそばかすの化粧をしていました。化粧はきれいにするだけのものではありません。町とはいえ、女に飢えたやつもいます。
Freckles were a
金も持たず
deterrent.
暴力的で、性病持ちも多い。
I still think she's from a noble
チビ
family
で
though.
エセギスの仕込めなら、そうそう狙われることはないですから。
But I thought her freckles were cute.
化粧が落ちかけてたんです。ギリギリ売り物になると判断されたようです。
悪いな。管理が行き届いてなくて。
別にどうでもいいです。
She just accepts it as part of what it means to be a
買う
woman.
方には区別なんてつかないです。
腹立たしくないのか。
It makes
それは
Jinshi
言うまでも
angry.
なく。でも、ジンシ様のせいではあ
He
りま
wants
せ
to
ん。
make them pay nonetheless because he likes you.
申し訳なかった。
Oh,
珍しく
Jinshi.
素直だな。
Oh,
痛いです。
そうか。やる。
look at his face.
じゃあ、あとは会場で。
Oh, I can't. He is besotted. He loves her so much.
男
Gave
物
you
の
a
かんざし
trinket
なんでも
of his affection.
いいの羨ましい。私も欲しい
Maybe it's also for her
あげてもいいけど、
protection
どう分けよ
too.
もう早速約束を破ったのね。私だけの次女じゃなくなったじゃない。それはどういう意味？いよいよね。
Jinshi's laid claim on you. You're under his protection, essentially. She's under Gyokiyu's, but also Jinshi's.
園遊会が始まる。
You? What are you up to? One of those concubines is so young, and it's so awful, but at the same time, that was just so common in that time period. But it really hits you in the gut when you see that out of the four, there is a literal child amongst them. And I hope the Emperor hasn't touched her for the love of God because she is a literal child. But it was a different time, and back then, women were married off so young. It's really not a shock, especially in a series based on this historical time period, but it always just kind of hits you in the gut because she should be enjoying her life, and yet here she is bound up in being a concubine to an emperor amongst grown women, and she's the only literal child. And then you also have Mao Mao talking about how she wore the freckles because she was scared that she would be sexually assaulted by men. So she tried to make herself look less desirable so that they would ignore her and leave her alone. Of course, I still think Mao Mao's from a noble family. I think that is part of the reason, but I also think another part is to lend credence to her being not noble by showing that she works in the fields, that she is exposed to the sun. I think it's part and parcel because she can read and write, and I think that's just a big indication that her family life is more deceptive than it appears, that she's not always lived in the humble beginnings that we saw in episode 1, that potentially she is connected to nobility, because it's just too sus. But yeah, the implication that the only way to stop yourself being assaulted is to make yourself ugly, because her makeup had faded, that was why the kidnappers took a shine to her, because they thought that they could market her as a concubine essentially, or a potential concubine, and that her only benefit was in her appearance and her looks. And then, you have this conversation about how, women really don't have much of a choice, don't really have much of a way of defending themselves. And then you see this young concubine, and you begin to realize as well just how dangerous such a society is to women, how devalued women have become. They're an item and an object to be used for the pleasure of others. They're not treated as normal people, as human beings with thoughts, feelings, and desires. And it's such a sucker punch every time. I just really love the way that this show drives home how women were treated. And again, you can argue still that women are not exempt from beauty standards, we're not exempt from assault and abuse. And I mean, there are still societies where women are forced into marriages for gain and status. So, yes, this is a historical time frame, but it's not removed from what women still experience today. And that's the truly sad thing, is that despite how far society has progressed, it's still not far enough, because these are still very much real issues that women face, such as child marriage, forced marriage, arranged marriage, sexual assault. Brothels are still a thing, sex trafficking is a thing. These are very real issues that women in today's society have to deal with too. And the fear of looking a certain way or dressing a certain way may attract unwanted attention. And we shouldn't have to live with that fear. We shouldn't have to live with that worry, because it's not how I look or my appearance that should incite someone to act a specific way towards me. They should be responsible for their own behaviors, for their own actions. But unfortunately, society has become such a way that women are tasked with dressing a certain way, looking a certain way, because if we don't, we're seen as bringing blame on ourselves. We're seen as being the reason for assault or being attacked. We're blamed for being the victim. And that's the sad reality. You can't wear what you want without someone saying, well, you asked for it, you brought it upon yourself, when you receive unnecessary and unwanted attention. And you have women that will wear clothes that are looser, that aren't figure hugging, that will choose not to wear makeup because they're worried that doing so, making themselves look attractive by being seen as the beauty standard that you are encouraging men to act a certain way towards you. And that's not the case. You are not responsible for the behavior of other people. But unfortunately, society likes to blame women for the actions of men. And it's similar in this show, where it's basically showing that women have come to accept that this is reality. Jinshi is disgusted and upset by what he's hearing happen to Mao Mao, but Mao Mao is just so matter of fact. She's so cold about it because that is reality. That's what she's come to expect living in this society as a woman. And likewise, in today's society, women have also come to accept that. We've come to accept that there's a normalization of misogyny and violence against women. We've come to accept that, we can't always trust those around us. We've come to accept that you can't take drinks from strangers. You've come to accept that if I wear a certain piece of clothing and somebody attacks me, that I'm most likely going to be blamed for it, even though it's not my fault. And I shouldn't be blamed for it because it's not about what I'm wearing. It's about the person that decided that my body was something that they felt entitled to. It's about their behavior and their attitude. And yet women are treated as if it's their fault, their responsibility, their burden to bear. And it's just such a shame that we come so far and yet the same issues, regardless of time and distance, still plague women. Whilst the Apothecary Diaries is fictional, it is based on a specific period of time in Chinese history. And it's just sad that despite the length of time between that period of history and today's society, those issues still are prevalent. We haven't really moved beyond them. We haven't really progressed that far away from being able to accept and empathize and understand what these women are going through, because we also can relate. I don't know any woman that hasn't experienced harassment or unwanted attention or assault, and that's just the sad reality of what it is to be a woman today. And I don't want to hear anyone whinging in the comments of what about men. I understand that men can also be victims of abuse and victims of assault. This isn't me devaluing men or looking to blame men. I am more talking about the themes of the show that we are seeing and then connecting it to my experience as a woman in today's society and what I have experienced and what I know other women have experienced, because I can make that connection because of my lived experiences, and I'm sure other women can too. I think what I have really loved about the show is just the way that it is drumming home what women go through and the impact that it does have on your perception of the world, in the way that Mao Mao is just so matter of fact, and she's a bit confused by Jinshi's shock and horror because she's so used to it that it doesn't phase her, and she's surprised when it does phase Jinshi because he's, I presume, grown up in the palace, probably isn't aware of what really goes on outside of it. Maybe he is to some degree, but probably not to the dark underworld that Mao Mao has seen, especially in being so close to the brothels and then working with the brothel workers. She has probably seen things that she would rather not have ever seen, to the extent that she is hiding her appearance in fear that people will abuse her and take advantage of her because she is beautiful. She's very attractive, and she knows that in this society beauty can be deadly. Men can see that as a means of taking advantage of you, of making you theirs, because your beauty is an object for them to desire. You are not a person, you are something to be used and discarded when they are done. So yeah, Jinshi's horror and Mao Mao's lack of it just again emphasizes the differences in gender, because Jinshi doesn't have the same experiences as Mao Mao and doesn't have the same experiences as any of the other women in this society, because he's never had to go through it. He's never been subjected to it in the same way. And I just love that he puts his hairpin, because that's his way of extending protection to Mao Mao, because they'll know that Jinshi is favoring her, that to harm Mao Mao is to harm Jinshi. Jinshi's using his power and privilege to protect her in a way that Gyokyu can't. Gyokyu can protect her so much as she is a concubine and has power and privilege and prestige, but I still don't think that would fully protect Mao Mao from being abused by a nobleman if he saw fit. And I don't think there would be much punishment. There may be, but with Mao Mao not being a concubine, I don't think there really would be the same level of punishment as there would be for someone attacking Gyokyu or Li Hao. But Jinshi's status as a man in society, but also someone that is incredibly close to the emperor and has a level of power and prestige, does afford Mao Mao some considerable protection, meaning no man will dare to touch her or go near her. So he has staked his claim because he loves her, he's infatuated with her, but also it's his way of providing her protection and security in a way that she's never had before in her life. Though I think she maybe did have it because I do think she is from a noble family and potentially had power and protection at some point, but when they have moved or maybe they lost that power and connection at some point, was subjected to the darker side of society because they are then thrust from a higher class to a lower class, because we did see her home was humble beginnings. So I think she was maybe from a noble class that has lost status and then found themselves in a lower class, and then she has gone on to understand what it means to be a woman growing up in a lower class society because of everything she's experienced and seen. Because maybe when they were a noble class, she was younger, and then maybe then they were cast out when she was a child, and she grew up not really knowing much of her noble life. But the fact that she can read and write is just an indication to me that she's not what she appears, and she's very cagey about her upbringing. Like, she doesn't really talk much about her life other than like being an apothecary and then working with the brothels and the seediness of the town that she grew up in when it was after dark and late. But I think it wouldn't be unusual if she was somewhat raised in a noble class society and then thrust into a lower class society and then was subjected to a new experience that she never really understood. But because if she was a child when they lost their status and position, it would make sense that she wouldn't really remember it. Hence why she's more connected to the lower class, because that's all she's ever really known. Because say like her family were noble from when she was a baby to like maybe 5 or 6, she wouldn't really remember it. Whereas if they lost their status and she was then forced to grow up in that environment, she would remember that more because that would be her formative years. So yeah, I think potentially that was it, that she was born into a noble family, they lost power and privilege, and then she grew up in lower class society and finds more affinity and connection because maybe she doesn't know she's from a noble family because she doesn't remember it, or maybe her family don't really talk about it because they have done something to offend and lost power and status, or maybe she just doesn't talk about it because she doesn't remember it, so she doesn't see the point because she's only ever known really the experience of being lower class. I'm not sure, but the ability to read and write to me is just a huge indicator that she's not what she appears, that she is noble or had noble family, because it's such an expensive thing to teach your child unless her father taught her, but then he would also have to come from status in order to be able to teach his child as well. So again, that would mean they came from nobility at some point, they came from wealth at some point. I don't know, but yeah, I look forward to seeing what the next episode's about because they're going to the garden party. But there's something going on with the firework powder. The changing colors means there's a code, and they're looking for people with burns on their arms. So there's a conspiracy going on. I don't know if it's to harm the concubines, if it's to harm the emperor, if it's a coup, if it's a rebellion. I'm sure we will find out, but my worry is it's the princess's first outing, and because all the children of the emperor have been dying, I'm scared that somebody is going to be going after the little princess because it's her first public outing. She's the only surviving child of the emperor because the prince has passed. So I'm worried it's in connection with her, but I think it could be like a coup or a rebellion. And then there was like the robe and then the burns on her arm. So she's been handling the material, which has caused the rashes. But as to why, we really don't know. There's just been little indications that it's to send a message, it's a code or symbol of some sort. So they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this react. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoy this show so much. I love every episode. It's so good. And Jinshi and Mao Mao have my whole heart. I really hope there is a romance between the two of them eventually, but I am enjoying the tension between them and the sweet moments because they mean more because there is that tension. I hope that doesn't go away too soon. I like romantic tension and build up more so than just having a resolution. So I'm hoping there's more of that rather than just now kiss and get together. So here's hoping, especially because there's a series too. So I'm hoping it like extends out, but we will see. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!